Hi, this is Catherine. This is Taking Tea with Catherine. This is a green tea, an Emily Dickinson garden blend. I don't have it with me. I should have brought it with me. From Simpson and Vale, which is basically like a jasmine tea but with more flowers. And I really like it. I seem to be on a kick of author teas right now. But this particular mug was given to me as a gift years ago for hosting a couple that was staying with me for like a few days. I don't remember. Anyway, but it was a very nice gift. They also got me some teas from Teavana, which I don't even know if they exist anymore, but they certainly don't where I live. But this is a mug that keeps on giving because it's one of my favorites. I just kept that a little bit in theme because I decided to do an original tag. I've never done one before. I'm a little bit nervous, but this is the book giving tag. Book giving tag. Not Thanksgiving, although, you know, you should always be thankful for gifts. Book giving tag. So, I looked around YouTube to make sure that no one had done a tag like this, and I didn't find anything. The problem with giving and tag is that there were a lot of videos about how to make gift bags, gifts with those tags that you put like on the gift bags. So that's what kept popping up. If someone's already done a tag about books as gifts, well, sorry, but this is my original tag. And some people may say, I don't think everybody will, but some people might say, why now? Why in August? This is not the big time of year people think of giving. And number one should not wait for occasions, a special occasion to be giving gifts. And not everyone observes the same holidays, to be honest. But if you do observe certain end of the year giving holidays, then you will have time to prepare then if you do this tag. But to me, it's like giving should be all year long, and a lot of us love getting books as gifts and giving books as gifts. So I have a bunch of questions for you, and I will answer them myself as well. Number one is, do you give books as gifts? And if so, to whom? And I'm going to say that yes, but not very often. This is not something I do very often because I find that, first of all, a lot of my friends are not big readers. Second of all, a lot of people, it's a scary thing to buy someone a gift, as a book as a gift, because they may already have the book, or they may have already read the book and don't really need it. Some people are very Marie Kondo about their collections at home, and to give them a book means clutter. So I don't want to add to clutter. It makes me a little bit nervous. Also, just the thought that even maybe they won't want to read it, and now you're always going to wonder, did you read it? Did you read it? Did you read it? So, and yet, if I know somebody who mentions to me that they were looking to read a certain book, but they don't have it, and I was going to buy them a gift anyway, maybe, or not, or maybe I happen to be in a bookshop and I see the book, I would like to do so. I remember one time one of my sisters mentioned that they wanted to read The Once and Future King, and I bought it for them, and I don't know if they enjoyed it or not, but but I think that was one of the rare times that I found myself actually going out and buying a book to read for somebody, because it's such a gamble. But I do sometimes buy blank books for people, and I know a lot of people use some digital mode to write things now on their iPads, on their phones, whatever. So they may not need notebooks as much, or of course laptops, but there are times in one's life where one could use a notebook, and so I don't think it's a completely useful gift. But even so, I don't do that as often as I used to, I don't think. Number two, do others buy you books as gifts? And are they usually successful? And I will say that often I do not receive books as gifts. I have before, and I will show you some in a moment. But I would think that, first of all, some people just don't buy books, period. So that why would they buy them as a gift? But the other thing is, I think people who really know me, who would like to buy me a book maybe, would be afraid to, and rightly so, because I talk about books all the time. So they may hear me say, I like this kind of book, and they're going to be like, how do we know she hasn't either read it already and doesn't want it in her collection, or has the book? Because, I mean, you've seen my bookshelves. I probably have the book. So it's not, it doesn't happen very often, and I'm sure I'm forgetting times. Sorry about that. But I did think of a couple of examples And one was a friend of mine who was actually a coworker, who is no longer my coworker, but she had almost daily habit of going to the shop Anthropologie, which for many years was near our workplace. I think it still is now, but I haven't been there in a while because I haven't been to the city in a while. Well, I have, but not in that area. But anyway, um, she went there almost every day and would just shop. And sometimes, she'd bring things back often, but she would shop for things for herself, and she would shop for things for her friends, her nieces, her coworkers, obviously. And the thing about Anthropologie is that it's really more well known if you see the catalogs that they put out. That they're mostly well known for their clothes, but they also sell home goods, furniture that's crazy overpriced, and also pretty mugs. I had one recently that I showed that was from Anthropologie. Drinking glasses, plates, tea towels, etc. And it was pretty. It's a pretty fun shop to shop at, but they also sell books. Not like an entire collection, but there's a little book section. And very long story short, my friend, my coworker, bought me, among other things in life, this book that she saw there, the Vintage Tea Party book. And I still love it. I think I showed this on one of my library book tours, I think. And it's a beautiful, beautiful book and a perfect book as a gift. Great. It's still in very good shape. Oh, there's a little spot in the back. I just noticed. Oops, that's my bad. But and then I also have a friend who knew I loved Jasper Fforde, and a couple of years ago the book Early Riser was coming out, and she had a friend visiting from the UK, so she asked her to pick it up, and she gave this to me. I didn't get very far in it, sadly, but it a very good gift. But this particular book I've had a little trouble getting into, but I love the author, so very good intentions, and maybe I will go back to it. Sometimes you're just not in the right reading mode for certain books. But yeah, so number 3, when you buy yourself books, do you consider them gifts to yourself? And normally I don't, because I buy myself books so much that it would be crazy that I'm spoiling myself. And a lot of times I just buy books at Book Off and online, and it's just, I love them, but the only time I consider them gifts is when there is a very special, like a really fancy binding, or usually a slightly pricey book that I can't see the really good purpose for buying. And then I say, well, treat yourself, So that, I make it a special gift to myself, but it's not normally. I think if I were in more of the habit of not buying books and then I occasionally did, that would be more of a gift to myself. Number 4, do you consider used books to be acceptable gifts? Now, I do, but I don't think most people would. And going back to my friend, my coworker, who one day, instead of going to Anthropologie, she went to Argosy Books, which is this beautiful bookshop in Midtown Manhattan. It's in an area that is not far from the 59th Street Bridge, near a lot of, it's not the oldest part of Manhattan as far as people who settled there and stuff. And there's a lot of big steel buildings, a lot of it's quite modern. So, you could find brownstones and stuff, but pretty modern. So this little bookshop, actually it's a multi-level bookshop, but it really does feel like a time capsule. It just sells nothing but used books, but a lot of them are quite expensive. I always went for the $1 section outside, but now that's the $3 section. Still a good price. They still have discount books when you first walk in, and all kinds of things. It's the closest to me, in my opinion, to like 84 Charing Cross Road, Marks and Co. That's the closest one, I think, in the city to me. But one day she went there at lunchtime. I don't know why she was going there, but she saw this book, More About Unknown London. And I don't think it was highly expensive. It has a little damage, but she bought it for me. No special occasion. She just bought it for me. And I just thought that was such a thoughtful gift because she knew I loved London. And it's, stories about London and stuff. Kind of. I have to actually haven't read it. I just kind of go through it every once in a while. But but still a good gift. I mean, she was thinking of me. But I think a lot of people, you have to be careful about buying used books for people because, uh, I like this, but some people would find that a little bit like, what is that? What is that? It's weird. There are people who won't get library books out, physical library books, because they don't know who's handled it before. Much more used books because who knows where it came from, who knows what people have done to it. Um, and nowadays with you know, disease being rife or whatever and contagion, a lot of people would be more cautious for that sort of thing. So I don't really advise it unless you really know the person and they would appreciate a book that it looks like an antique. And make sure that it's clean, because I have seen used books and library books that have weird dirt in it that could looks like blood or knows treasure. And that is not fun at all, so just be careful. um, Now, gift cards. If you could receive a gift card for any bookshop or book website, which one would you want the most? So I'm going to say, I think as far as buying a book person a gift, that's probably one of the best possible ideas, because you buy someone a gift card, you are giving them the chance to shop for books, which most people who are book lovers love to do. And even if it's not their top favorite shop, they'll probably find something they like. If someone bought me a gift card from a shop that wasn't even a bookshop, it was some clothing store that I would probably hardly ever shop in, I could probably go in and find something I like anyway. But how much more so bookshops, right? And websites obviously open up to more places. But if you know that they live near a place and they like to shop at a certain bookshop, then that's a great gift. You can't buy them something they don't already have. And if they already have a gift card, I keep saying book card, gift card, then it's, you know, just more books. Anyway, so personally, I have so many bookshops that I love, but I would pick the Strand in Manhattan because, well, first of all, they have more than one location now, so I wouldn't have to just go to that one place. But the main branch, or whatever you call it, of the Strand is I think that's on East 12th Street in Manhattan, and for me, it's a special treat to go there because I'm not always in that area, but I love that bookshop. It has both used books, rare books, and new books for decent prices, and other things too. So I mean, if you're gonna buy a gift card for someone who's not really a book person, that would be one of the many good bookshops to give them a card for, because they could be like, oh, I don't really want to shop for books, but they could go in and say, maybe I'll buy socks because they sell socks there, or something else. And now they're in a bookshop, maybe they'll browse, and that's great. But I just like the Strand because it is technically still an independent bookshop, and it is historical and have a great variety, so you cannot go wrong. I would still accept a gift card from almost anywhere, really, as long as I can access it somehow. Because if you give me a bookshop from some cute little place, you know, in Ukraine or something, and they don't have a website to buy from, then I'm kind of up the creek. But you're supporting bookshops this way during the first immediate shutting down of shops in most places on the earth, but definitely in New York. A lot of book lovers were buying gift cards for independent bookshops just to keep them afloat, you know, just to be able to, you know, keep the money coming in for them a little bit. And so I do recommend independent bookshops because of the support that they desperately need. But the Strand for me is the top one. Number 6, would you give in a gift wrapping? Would you give them a gift bag or a bare presentation of a book? So for me, I'm most likely to give a gift bag or a tote bag from a bookshop, because that is useful and they're usually pretty sturdy, and we can always use tote bags, especially nowadays. But I love books that are wrapped as a gift. I think that's beautiful. But I'm terrible at wrapping anything, so I would rather be able to enjoy giving someone a gift without the horrors of remembering trying to wrap them. but I'll accept any presentation. Even wrapped in a newspaper. That's kind of fun too. Number 7. Can you communicate to others when a book is a lend and not a gift? So when you say to somebody, I'm just going to grab this book I have near me, Walden. Say I've already read it, but I really enjoyed this book, and so I think would really like it. Let me lend this to you. Can you make them understand that you want this back someday? Or will they take it and say thanks and you will never see it again because to them you gave it to them? I have a handful of books that I have received from other people that I think was a lend. But I'm talking about years ago. I do not make that habit as a habit anymore because I understand most people want their books back. But it's hard to communicate it because sometimes if you explain to them that you do want it back, then it gives them pressure to read it faster. Maybe they don't want to be pressured. So then it's like a library book to them. So sometimes I think if you're going to give somebody a book, except for people that you can really, really communicate with, sometimes you just have to take it as a loss. And that's it. Okay, so the next question is number 8. Have you ever given someone an ebook? I haven't. I don't really know how to do it. I'm sure it's an easy thing to do, some kind of link or whatever. I'm sure I could learn it. I just haven't yet. I'm not a big e-reader. Someday that may change. I have had e-readers in the past, so it's not like I'm, against it altogether. It just has not been my favorite format, but I'm a little nervous about, I'm a bit nervous about giving things like that because of my bad experience of when I had advanced reader copies sent to me in the form of EPUB or whatever it was. And I had been pretty much finished with the book, but wanted to go over it to review, and it had been removed from my, whatever they call it, and I couldn't get it back. And I thought that was kind of not, when a publisher sends an advanced reader copy, like an actual paper book, that's yours. They're not going to come into your window one day and find it and pull it and take it. So that's what I get a little nervous about digital copies, because I feel like they could take it back, but I don't know how that works. But is it something that you appreciate? I could see it being something that you might appreciate, especially during everybody being at home and not having as much access to libraries, etc. Might have been nice to get something like that. Okay, so the next one is to name up to, thereabouts, 5 books you'd like to receive as gifts. And I think this is my last main question. And I thought about all kinds of books I would love to receive, but I didn't want to go crazy. I have online wish lists on different book websites that I don't know how other people access them, but not always updated. So I'll forget to update some wish list, and then I'll see something and say, oh, I already have that, or I read that from the library, and I better take that off. But so if someone bought me books from my wish list, it could be a little bit of a gamble, but here's some things I would like. Those vintage, ancient, I don't know how old they were, those Penguin paperbacks, but the ones that were the plain kind of orange and white, kind of like, was it orange, white, and orange? Something like that, or green, white, green, blue, whatever. The old Penguin paperbacks, I think they were the original ones. I see them sometimes in stores, but mostly I saw them when I was in the UK. And I still regret my last trip, having been to a number of shops and not picking up any. Because now, to get them online, they always seem a bit overpriced for what I saw. And I personally, any of them in that format would be cool. But I have so many classics that it would almost be redundant to get them in, as doubles of things that I already have. But there are so many titles that I've seen that I don't know if they've been reprinted elsewhere, and they just look kind of quirky and interesting. I would love any of those, at least in somewhat decent shape. I don't want completely crumbly, because I would want to actually read them. And almost any books about Pre-Raphaelites, because I have taken so many out of the library that I want to go back to. I have like 1 or 2 books. One of them was from the Tate Gallery in 2012, the special exhibition they had. But otherwise, I have very few books about the Pre-Raphaelites in my collection. And it's one of my favorite types of paintings. And a lot of collections, like poetry collections, I like. But There is one specific book that I keep seeing that I would like. It came out 1 or 2 years ago from Jane Pettigrew, who is a tea expert. And I have 1 or 2 of her books already, but she came out with a newer book that's like almost $40, and it's called Jane Pettigrew's World of Tea. And every time I see that, I'm like, I want it. But because I bought that book, that History of Tea book, whatever it's called, about almost over a decade ago, and it looks beautiful, it's big, and I spent a lot of money on it, and I realized that I'm not really that into it, that I feel like I don't want to risk buying it for myself now. But I would love it as a gift. So anyway, these are the questions and my answers. And I was gonna tag so many different people that I realized that I would inevitably leave somebody out. So I'm doing the thing where you tag everybody. And I hope that anybody who does pick up this tag will tag some people, and then it will go on and on. I hope. Anyway, so I hope you've enjoyed this. This has been Taking Tea with Catherine. Have a lovely tea, book, and gift-filled day. Bye.